everyone, it's Maki here. The Seian Award has just been announced in Japan. It is an award that has been part of the Japanese sci-fi community for a very long time. Although it is not a government-issued honor, it is still considered highly prestigious among creators. This year's award went to designer Mr. Ikuto Yamashita. Yamashita served as the main mechanical designer for GQuuuuuX. Recipients of the Seian Award are determined based on works and activities released between January and December of the previous year. In other words, the 2026 award recognizes achievements from 2025. Let's take a look at Yamashita's comments. This time, the Art Division Award was given in my personal name rather than for a specific work. However, I believe it is ultimately recognition for GQuuuuuX and that I accepted it as a representative of the project. Thank you very much. He also unveiled designs for a space colony and the rig Zock. This time, let's examine the rig Zock design together. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider joining my channel membership for just 99 cents per month. As a thank you gift, you'll receive a name badge and exclusive comment stamps. Now then, let's get started. The rig Zock is a mobile suit that briefly appeared in the final episode of GQuuuuuX. It is based on the amphibious mobile suit that appeared in the original 0079 series. Despite having extremely little screen time and no notable achievements, it has gained a strange kind of popularity among fans and creators alike. What background setting did Yamashita come up with for it? First, I want to point out an important detail. No official setting materials for the rig Zock have yet been released. Everything I discuss here is based solely on the concepts Yamashita created during the design process. Please bear in mind that this is information that the designer envisaged while creating the design, and we do not know whether it has been incorporated into the official setting. A light-hearted joke from Yamashita is written against a blue background. It somehow makes you feel happy when you say it out loud. Rig Zock. Let's now take a look at the classification listed on the left. Big Mascot Mobile Armor. High Firepower Mobile Gun Platform. This is how rig Zock is classified. In the original Universal Century timeline, he is classified as a mobile suit. However, due to its limited mobility arms, non-functional legs, high-output engines, and large number of beam cannons, it is often described as being closer to a mobile armor. Depending on the creator, Zock is frequently reinterpreted as a mobile armor, or even a weapon that is not really a mobile suit at all. Yamashita redefined the Zock as a mobile armor. He then gave Zock the designation rig, the same term used in the name of the space-use mobile suit rigdom. Its role as a big mascot is also interesting. In the story of GQuuuuuX, Giran Zobi and his followers believed that mobile suits were outdated weapons and that mobile armors would become the primary combat units of the future. The rig Zock was developed to support the massive mobile armor, Big Sam. It seems that Yamashita combined Giran's ideas with the concept of a Zock that is somewhere between the mobile suit and the mobile armor to create the rig Zock. Yamashita's signature is written below the name rig Zock. Apparently, the design was completed in 2021. Now, let's take a look at the details regarding the pilots and other specifications. The unit is operated by two pilots who sit back to back. Both pilots have right arms with each pilot controlling one of the arms. It seems that the concept is for the two pilots to handle combat in the forward and rear directions, respectively. The arms are equipped with weapons resembling large machine guns. They almost look like shields with weapons attached to them. Since magazines appear to be mounted on them, could these be weapons that fire metal projectiles rather than being weapons? However, the story is set in Universal Century 0085. The original Zeta Gundam is set in 0087. By this point, beam weapons had already become standard equipment. The technology to store energy in magazine-like devices, known as e-packs, had also been established by then. For this reason, it is difficult to determine exactly what kind of weaponry Zock is carrying. Could it use metal projectiles, which Big Sam does not carry, to give it different attack characteristics? Or is it equipped with beam weapons based on the idea that even if stray shots hit Big Sam, its E-field would nullify the beams and prevent any damage? However, parts that resemble metaparticle cannon muscles are also depicted on the shoulders. There is no written explanation regarding these muscles. Therefore, it is also possible to interpret the design as incorporating both beam weapons and weapons that fire metal projectiles. There are many different ways to interpret it. Now let's take a look at the other notes. First, the head section. There is a component that resembles the head of a Zaku. This gives the impression of the Apsalis from the 08 MS team. The note here says an identical head is mounted on the opposite side as well. If you look closely, you can also see black lines that resemble the rails used for moving mono-eye. Could the entire head move along a rail in the same way as a mono-eye? This would further enhance the monster-like appearance, which is an interesting idea. Now let's take a look at the other notes. This one concerns the legs. Everything below the hip joint can rotate through 360 degrees. In this illustration, both feet are pointed outwards. When walking, the pilot who declares, "I have control," is responsible for controlling the movement. The toes are then oriented towards the pilot who has control. At first glance, the feet with their three claws make it difficult to tell which way is front. However, if you look carefully, you will see parts that appear to function as knees. The side with the protrusion is probably the front, while the side with the exposed black mechanical components is likely the rear. Unlike the original Zock, it seems that Zock is actually capable of bending its knees and performing a walking motion. Finally, let's take a look at the notes on the feet. Feet that are barely capable of walking. They are extremely powerful, like the feet of a bird of prey. They can anchor the body in place. Being grabbed by the claws is dangerous. The claws, which resemble those of Big Sam, are particularly striking. It seems that Yamashita interpreted the original Zock's claws as being similar to Big Sam's. He then adapted these claws for the legs as part of the design. The primary purpose of the legs appears to be to act as stabilizing supports that keep the machine firmly in position. Walking is possible, but movement through walking does not seem to have been a major consideration. The powerful claws can also be used as weapons. It is unknown whether they can be launched as attacks like those of the original Big Sam. Yamashita included a brief comment beneath the claw explanation. This will never become a popular gun claw. That was Yamashita's final comment. He was emphasizing that gaining popularity was not the primary goal, and that the design was created with its role in the story as the main priority. However, the original Zock was also designed with the premise that it would not gain popularity as a product. As you know, the result was quite different. The Zock became just as popular as Gundam itself. Rick Zock's design is certainly fascinating. If you enjoy creating fan art, you could have fun combining the design seen in the TV anime with Yamashita's design to create your own interpretation. Just imagine Rick Zock blasting enemies apart with the guns mounted on both arms and the beam cannons across its body, and then crushing enemy mobile suits with the claws on its legs. It would certainly make for an incredibly powerful and cool image. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I'll see you again in the next episode.